Oh, welcome back to Lucore Automotive Services. Today I'm doing a 6-liter diesel engine teardown. We just got this thing pulled out of the 2004 Ford Excursion. Ford Excursions were made from 99 to 05. They're a pretty high desirable vehicle because they're very unique. They're one of the very few SUV options that came from the factory with a 6-liter or with a diesel engine. This one is a 6-liter V8 turbo. And they work pretty good when they're running good. The problem is they're pretty misunderstood. And we understand them pretty good here at this shop. We've been working on them a long time. And I currently have 2 of them. And both of them have more than 400,000 miles on them. Had a water pump done at some point in its life. One piece at a time. Money's worth out of those gaskets. Too bad. Got old dummy tubes in it. I don't think this engine's ever been apart. That's pretty impressive. IPR in the worst possible place it could be, on the very back of the engine. I oftentimes will come up from under the truck to change those. This has the original IPR in it. I'm going to be like beyond impressed with this truck. I think that's the right filter. This has the old dummy pipes in it. So this is really looking like a original unmolested 6-liter that's never been cracked open. All the hardware is there. I haven't found any missing components. A lot of times the heat shields don't get put back on, which is a no-no, because then the solenoids die a sooner death. It looks like it was overheated. The coolant staining is kind of showing. That's our failure, is going to be head gasket failure. I don't think the owner can really complain. He got 200,000 plus miles out of this engine. That's pretty good, without ever cracking it open. These engines are designed with a 250,000 mile service life. That is the lifetime of the engine. And they make it that far. I have 2 trucks with over 400,000 miles on them. One's the original engine, as near as I can tell. The other one I just put an engine in, the black Excursion, I just put an engine in, freshened one up, and did that last year. It's running pretty good actually. Well, it doesn't smell bad. Somebody was good on his maintenance. I'm not seeing any excessive wear on the valve train. That's good. Let's go ahead and drain the oil out of this thing and pull our oil and fuel filter housing off, which will allow us to pull our intake, and we'll pull our heads and our oil cooler. Probably what caused the coolant leak, because it wasn't even tight. One bites the dust, I guess. Alright, let's take off our block heater. And we'll take off our starter. And let's go ahead and get our engine mount out of the way. There's 3 bolts holding the starter on, not today though. We apparently thought 2 was enough. Triple tested. It wasn't rolling this engine over very well. And I'm wondering if the engine's full of rust. Horrible. Not bad. Not bad at all, actually. Oh, don't go in the... Oh, it didn't go into the bucket. Praise Jesus. These have a spacer on the back of the crank. Off. And they're kind of a pain to get off. Got to remember to transfer that over or your flywheel will hit the starter. I know this because I had a technician who was all proud of how quickly he did an engine job on one of these. And then he went and fired it up and it was making this weird noise. He's like, what's going on? I'm like, did you transfer the spacer off the back of the engine? What spacer? Pull it back apart. Do it again. There's our high pressure oil pump. Let's get it out of there. And pull our back cover off, and then we can put it on our engine stand. So when pulling the injectors out of these, there is a engineer's note to only remove them by hand. If you use an impact tool, there's a little collet that holds the bolt in place, which is what lifts the injector up out of its socket when you loosen it. A little will happen is this little collet in here can crack and fall down into the engine, and you don't notice it. And then when you put your new injectors into your engine and put it all back together after servicing it, you end up destroying an engine because of foreign object damage, FOD. So you always want to do these by hand. This is an earlier one with the T40 fasteners. I think some of the later ones had T45s. I don't remember, it's been a while since I've done a late model one. That gets our injectors out, which will allow us to pull our head bolts and rocker covers. Fuel system doesn't show any signs of water contamination. That's a good thing. Copper gaskets are still intact. I'm always looking for those when I'm pulling it apart. Looks like the second injector there had been replaced. The white O-ring on it looks a lot newer than the rest of them. Maybe it was pulled and resealed. Because the body of it doesn't look any newer than the rest. The gaskets are intact. Alright, let's pop our head bolts. Remove our rocker covers. Drop our heads off.
The guy that just walked out of here. He's like, hey, you're one of the guys I see on YouTube all the time. Yeah. No idea.
That's funny. Oh my God, they're tight.
Find any smoking guns?
No, it got hot. It looks like it's had one injector that's been replaced.
Well, it had an EGR delete too, didn't it?
It had an EGR cooler delete. The EGR valve was still in it. So the intake had been off and one valve cover had been off. But all the hardware except for like one 10mm on the glow plug module bracket. That's the only hardware I found missing on it. So it has not been into very much in 200 and whatever thousand miles.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it's a good. Like the oil doesn't look bad. I mean, you can see the coolant was pretty gnarly. It smells like it was pretty hot. Need a bigger impact gun.
Half inch of it will do it.
These things are always just so flipping tight, man. Doesn't sound like it's hitting right. My gun needs rebuilt. Try a different gun. That cornball one's probably 10 years old. We're going to try this Matco gun, see how it does. Off. Nice. Got some torque.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So did somebody put head gaskets on it with that being that bad? Or did they do something that created that problem?
I would like to think that somebody would have noticed this.
I would hope somebody would have noticed it, but you never know these days.
You went this far. But I'd say this also answers that question about whether or not you're going to put pistons in this.
Yeah, it's gonna get pistons.
At least one.
Oh god, that's heavy.
Yeah, they are.
Good lord.
Yeah, that was coppered also. Dowel.
That was my dowel. Gravity kicking in again.
Somebody did something bad back here.
I would guess the
We're down a hole. We're down a hole, Captain.
I would guess the injector was leaning out, but that explains my noise. I was definitely hearing a dead hole, and that's it. That's not great. I would say that injector was not firing correctly. She was running a wee bit lean. Well, other than the massively leaned out piston, this is looking pretty good so far. Camshaft is the first thing that goes into the engine, and it's the last thing to come out. Let me go ahead and get this thing mounted up on an engine stand so I can flip it over, pull the lifters, and basically get it stripped down to the bare block. The magnet on the oil pan doesn't really have anything of concern on it, so that's good.
Let's see what the water pump looks like.
Oh, it's a huge mess. Where's Mike Rowe when you need him? I've got about half of it into the bucket. Let's see how many piston rings are in the bottom of the pan. What's next? Needs an oil pan too. It's pretty crusty. Yeah, just put that there. It'll be fine. Actually a very clean oil pan. That's impressive. So this is your oil pan gasket. And it ends up leaking because it gets old and shrinks. Then this plate needs to come off. There's a gasket on top of it to the block, which also leaks. A lot of guys will do an oil pan gasket and not take this cover off and do the gasket between it and the block, and then you get done doing all that work and it still leaks. You get to do it again. Don't do that. Replace them both. This is part of the reason we're doing the entire engine reseal, is because it's 20 years old. These gaskets all shrink and they're horrible, and they are done. They've given their service life. They need replaced. Well, crank looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and drop these rods out of this assembly. I split the case to take them apart because it's a little easier, a little more access to do what you got to do. If I was going together, I would have the cases together, and before I start rotating the crankshaft around, I want to have my bearings locked together. But taking it apart, it doesn't matter. All the bearings are getting replaced anyway. Oh, that's nice. I'm surprised the rings are still free. Well, the control ring's not. It's locked. It's pretty good. It's melty. I would say it probably had a bad fuel injector. Those are not white. Plug our oil jets, and then we can put this block on the ground, pull the can out the back. And then it's time to take it over to the machine shop. They need replaced, but they probably would have made it another 100,000 miles if somebody hadn't kept driving it with a bad injector. Just throw that on the ground. Oh, you'll be fine.
And that is what is left of the 6-liter diesel. As you can see, we've got some damage there with the one piston. It did cook that hole, clearly from some sort of a lean condition. It is what it is. It happens. We can't tell as far as with those injectors whether or not they've been replaced or not. From the mileage, you would think they have been, but it is what it is. We did load the block, the heads, and went up to M&M Head Service. Mike is going to go do all of our machining work for us once he's checked everything through, plane the heads, make sure they're true, make sure the block is true, and we're not sure how much exactly we're going to have to bore that block. Check and see where that is, and then we'll make that happen. Pistons are available, so it's not a problem. This is one of those moments where it's a do it right, do it once kind of situation. If you've paid any attention to what we do, you know that we're really not folks that are into the whole cutting corners kind of thing. So this is going to be done the right way. New pistons, new bearings, new camshaft, new injectors, all new gaskets and seals and all that kind of fun stuff, because this truck did make it well over 200,000 miles. And it's time to be able to put this thing back together, but do it the right way so that it can serve this customer for another 200,000 miles. They're great trucks. They're kind of irreplaceable. There's nothing really that came onto the market that replaced a huge diesel SUV. And those 6 liters, when they're maintained right, can be absolutely fantastic motors. We're very, very confident in being able to bring this thing back to life, and it'll be a great another truck for that customer. So it's going to be a little while till we see for any updates on this project. Mike's very, very busy, as is every machine shop right now. And even with us being VIPs, it's going to take a little bit of time. So for the moment, that's where this project will end. And then once we've got some machining done and parts ordered and all that kind of fun stuff, we'll update you guys on the project from there. But that's where we're going to stop this for now. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much for attending here at Lucore Automotive, the 6-liter diesel teardown. We'll see you on the next one, whatever the heck that is. Oh, yeah. Like, comment, subscribe if you're into this kind of thing. We'll see you.